This is only 2 weeks in a row that I tried to unmute myself and it didn't work. Welcome in Cincinnati Soccer Talk. We'll get it. This is rehearsal. We'll get it right on the real show. All right. Welcome in. I am Jeremy Lance, joined by Rupesh and Brian tonight. As gentlemen, we are here. Match week 1. We've made it. The off season is over. The cold is pretending to be over as well. I believe once we show up at the stadium on Saturday, different story. But we're here. We made it. We got matches literally in like 48 hours, and we have the first match of MLS 2026 on Saturday. So good to have you. We got a great show tonight. Obviously, we're going to preview both of the matches. So we have the CONCACAF Champions Cup against O&M FC. And gentlemen, I don't know. I tried to do the research. It's just O&M. I looked up. I was like, what does the O&M stand for? And they was just like, no, it's just called O&M FC.
Oh my FC. That's it. Just going to roll with that.
So that is the Dominican side that they will be heading down to play on Wednesday night. Your first chance to get actually eyeballs on the team, not just match reports, not just clips from a training pitch in Florida, an actual match we get to watch. We'll get that Wednesday. And then, Atlanta United comes to town on Saturday as FC Cincinnati hosts on MLS 2026 opening day. Before we get to our Apollo home, what's hot, what's cold, how excited are we, guys?
I mean, I'm pretty pumped for the season, man. Like, it'll be different for me watching from a distance and not preparing for a show every week. So, but to be as dialed in this year with a squad that not a whole lot of surprises this preseason. Like we had Kevin Egan show up,
sure.
We had Evander show up last year. We had some holdouts last season. Like not a whole lot of surprises this preseason. So I'm excited to get into it with a squad that's been pretty stable so far and see what they can do in year 2 together.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with Brian. It's great.
Rupesh, vibe check.
Oh, I'm with Brian on it. I'm excited. It is nice that we don't have to worry about holdouts. Last year, I mean, we had 3 guys hold out, and we didn't bring Evander in until like the day before we left for CONCACAF Champions Cup. Maybe it was really close.
It was pretty close.
Cutting it close.
Yeah.
So I agree. I'm excited to see what this team can do. We've had a full off season of them training together. All the key players were there. So let's see what happens.
All right, we're going to also, I want to mention it. We do have a guest tonight. We have Kevin Egan from Apple TV, MLS on Apple TV. You've seen him there doing matches, doing studio shows. He is also, he's been covering and one of the commentators for the beautiful game in the U.S. for a long time. He's found a home there with Apple TV. And we'll get to chat with him, talking about, what's new. Obviously, the big new thing with Apple TV is that you just have to have Apple TV. You don't have to have all of the secondary MLS package to watch everything. As long as you pay for Apple TV Plus, which if you want like a free year of it, I think they still do it where like if you just buy a new product, you get like a free year.
Yeah.
So just go buy, treat yourself to a new iPad or something for the year. Get yourself
Jeremy, do I need to cancel my MLS season pass subscription, or will it just not charge my card this year?
I would hope it doesn't charge your card.
Yeah, there is no
I'll
MLS season
mine.
pass this year. Yep.
But it's gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin will be on to chat about that, obviously just kind of everything as we get ready for this new season and we look ahead to kind of the big talking points. But let's get to it. Our Apollo home. What's hot? What's cold? Brian, what is hot?
What is hot here? I alluded to it just a moment ago. One of the things I'm excited about the season is a core group of guys coming back having played an entire season, most of them an entire season together, and guys like Echenike coming in late in the season, getting some time with them. But what I'm most excited about, what's hot, is Kevin Denke consistently on the score sheet in preseason. Obviously, we saw some highlights. I don't know how plays developed and all that, but we know that he's getting on the end of these crosses, or he's getting on the end of the balls coming in, and he's scoring 3 goals in the first 3 preseason matches. And I think he had an assist, I believe, in this last one to Evander. I think that is a positive sign going into the season. So that's my hot take this week.
All right, what's cold?
Oh, going with our cold right away. Man, a couple. Man, I could go with the temperature. It's all great.
Yes, it is legitimately
it's gonna
cold.
hit like freezing again on Saturday for that home opener. But I'm gonna take a second and say that my cold is actually the fact that my team up here, Fort Wayne FC, had a friendly in Cincinnati, in Milford, I guess, at the training center against FC Cincinnati 2 last weekend. Okay. Still no reports from either side how that game went. It's been very, very hush-hush. Curious how that all played out, and was a little disappointed not to hear more about the game. But, you know, I guess I can understand how that goes. Just a little frustrated in that one.
Rupesh, what's hot, man? Besides that beard. What's hot?
Right. For me, the hot this preseason was Andre Shirilla. He played in a lot of games, and every time he played, you know, Pat Noonan was talking him up, saying he did well. So it's great to see a young kid, you know, get a chance, and looks like he's taking his opportunity when it was given to him. So we'll see if that bodes to any call ups this year to play with the big squad. So that was my hot. My cold is Matt Miazga. The recovery just is going slower than expected. You know, he didn't play any minutes at all this preseason, which, according to the press conference after the game last Friday or whenever the game was, they were expecting him to play some, but I guess he had a setback at the beginning of training for preseason, and they're hoping that he's pushing him now and hoping he'll be ready to maybe play some minutes on Saturday, it sounds like, according to what I heard from Laurel's reporting. So we'll see. I mean, that one's got me a little bit worried that Matt's, you know, just something's still going on there.
I mean, that was we kind of were left off last season with he was hurt. There was some other rumors going around about maybe his disposition with where he stood at the club and his compensation, and as a, you know, comparing to other guys in similar roles, compensation, shall we say. So I mean, there is kind of a lot of question marks just kind of all around about Miazga. We did let's see what our man Justin Blair says. What's hot? Cincinnati Sirens returning for some MASLW home matches. I mean, that's indoors, so yeah, I guess that would be warm. That would literally be warm. What's not? Nashville FC taking that L to Lexington SC in a preseason friendly. I'm gonna say that's hot too. That's awesome that happened. Keep doing that, Nashville. Fantastic. I'll give you my hot and not. My what's hot is just the fact that we finally made it. We're finally here. The off season's over. The speculation, the will they do this, the what does this team even look like? We're gonna get answers here. We're gonna get answers on Wednesday. We're gonna see the team for the first time. We're gonna see probably a rotated squad of a different fashion on Saturday. A lot of the speculating can go by the wayside. We finally just get matches to really talk about. That helps us from this standpoint. We're not just sitting there going like, oh, I wonder what the team's going to be. But also, like, it's just good to have it back. It's good to not just have FC Cincinnati back, but to have the league up and rolling again and other matches available. I am a guy that I like to watch sports in the evening. So if I'm given some Wednesday night action, I'll take it. If I'm getting home from TQL and the 10:30s are just rolling. I love hopping in and watching those West Coast matches. I'm just happy we got soccer back. Everything's rolling for the season. The final season of what are we calling this? MLS 4.0, and we're jumping to MLS 5.0 next year. Like we're kind of getting that one last season of this format of a what is it? A spring to fall format. So I'm just excited that it's here. We get matches. We get to finally just enjoy soccer. My what's cold? I don't know, and I even can't even put my finger on it as far as like what I think is missing. But because I think it's because there was such a no big signing. We're kind of keeping all the big guys around still. There is like a weird, like incomplete feeling about this roster. And now part of that is the fact that I have no idea what this roster physically looks like right now. So I obviously we will get those answers this week. I'm excited for it. That is our What's Hot, What's Cold, brought to you by our friends over at Apollo. As I'm trying to do multiple things at once. This is me trying to just got the training wheels on here. At our friends at Apollo Home, the weather might be starting to warm up, but hey, it's still winter in Cincinnati. If your furnace hasn't been checked yet, now's the time. Apollo Home is still offering CST listeners a furnace tune-up for just $29 so you can stay comfortable and avoid surprise breakdowns. Stay hot when it's cold with Apollo Home. All right, we are going to be joined here momentarily by Kevin Egan from MLS on Apple TV. Excited to talk to him. Real quickly, guys, I kind of did the vibes check to start the show. Is there how much are you actually placing on the CCC, the CONCACAF Champions Cup? Is this something we like really? I mean, obviously we're excited to have a game on Wednesday to watch, but as far as it being a successful season or not a successful season, what does this tournament even mean to you?
Man, it's a hard question because it's so early, right? It starts before we've seen any of our guys. They've played some preseason matches. We don't know what to expect. So it feels a bit like preseason to me still because it's the first games we're going to see, but it's a big tournament and it's a big deal, right? And so I'd like to see FC Cincinnati come out and, go deep into this tournament. They were knocked out in early knockout rounds in the last couple of years, right? I'd like to see them go forward, and the deeper they go, the more excitement it generates for me, right? Because they've got a chance to go deeper. I do like seeing other clubs from around the region on the field together that I don't often know about. I don't often see. We talked a little bit about O&M, like what does it mean? Where are they from?
We still don't know. We still don't know what O&M means.
Yeah, I still don't know. But yeah, man, I don't put a lot of stock into this on whether it's a successful season or not. But yeah, I want Cincinnati to go as deep as they can. There's going to be some ugly matches and some ugly pitches they're going to play on. We know that, especially in the early rounds. But I don't think the success of the season hinges on this tournament.
All right, let's get to him. Joining us right now from MLS on Apple TV is the man, Kevin Egan. Kevin, how are we doing on this Monday night?
Yeah, great to be back talking MLS. Excited for the weekend. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. Listen, the season is started this week. We're in match week 1. I think everyone's got that excitement about their team. Even some of the clubs that maybe probably don't have as much to be excited about, you're still excited because a new season is finally here. A new day is dawn. And for you guys over at the MLS on Apple TV, what's going to be kind of is there anything new? Is there anything different we can look forward to in year 4 in 2026 of your guys' broadcast and coverage of the league?
Yeah, we're back at the same studio up in Stamford, Connecticut, which I fly up on Friday morning, first thing. Rehearsals Friday, and we tear into it Saturday. This year, I'll be hosting Countdown as well. So a busy day. I'll be hosting Countdown, which starts at 6:30. That goes straight into MLS 360, which we're on air for 5.5 hours. So good stint, without the bathroom break. Got to time my water out pretty well. Make sure I don't need to go too much throughout the show, or at all. And excited. We've got wrap up then on Sundays. We've got Sunday night soccer on Sundays, but also now on Saturday we've got the Walmart Saturday Showdown, which I think is going to be really cool. It's at the Coliseum to kick it off between LAFC and Inter Miami on Saturday night. So after the Cincinnati game, make sure you tune into Apple TV for Saturday night Showdown. It's gonna be great.
Awesome. So as we head into the season, there's a lot of things that people have been talking about, looking forward to. For you, this 2026 season, what is that? What are the storylines? Who are the teams? Who are the players? What is kind of the interesting things you'll be tracking this year?
Yeah, big picture. I think, first of all, from afar, right? So anyone outside of Major League Soccer circles looking at it, the big headline really is catch me if you can when it comes to Inter Miami. And
Sure.
What they did in the offseason, whether people like it or not, they're showing ambition. They're putting their cards on the table and they're going for it. And to obviously secure Rodrigo de Paul, to go out and be maybe the Bayern Munich or the PSG and be that big player and say to Dane Sinclair, yeah, goalkeeper of the year, we'll take you. Tristan Blackman, defender of the year, do you want to come to us? And they're trying to lure these guys in, being the big player that they are now in the league. And they can do that with Lionel Messi on board. It's just the allure of Messi and Miami right now, and a new stadium en route this season as well, Miami Freedom Park. So I think the catch me if you can element is really important here. Now, Major League Soccer never really plays out the way we all think it should. It just doesn't. Who had Philadelphia winning the Shield last year, for example? So I think there's a lot of twists and turns. Some teams, though, I'm a little bit concerned about, and I don't know if we'll see a drop-off from last season. Like Philadelphia, I don't know if you can let an 18-goal season guy in Tyberibo just leave the club. And I know you bring in Alado, a young 20-year-old striker. You've got options there, obviously, too. But I'm just not sure about that move at all. Philly will back themselves, though, and they understand their identity. And have Cincinnati done enough? Have your team done enough in the offseason, realistically, is a question I have going in this year. Second in the Shield race, second in the East. Obviously, the season didn't end well for you guys, but have you done enough? I'm intrigued to see what Brian Ramirez can offer, and just see how a second season with Evander and Denke will mold together. And honestly, the other question I have, coming off the end of the year, why didn't Wobodo start? I'm still scratching my head on this one when it comes to the end of the season. He, for me, is arguably the best ball winner in the league, and against a top team like Messi and Miami, I wondered why that didn't happen, but I think Pat Noonan and the coaching staff seem to like Giddy an awful lot.
Yeah, to answer that Wobodo question, he just didn't seem like his old self coming off the injury this last year, and so I just wonder if Noonan just had more confidence in Giddy, who was an up and coming player playing strong. But yeah, a lot of us wondered that same thing. Like, he's given Messi fits in previous games. We'd like to see him out there, but
such a good player. But I just really, really enjoy that style of player.
So good.
I think he's been the best defensive midfielder. I think there's deeper line playmakers like Busquets that we've seen in the league, but in terms of a defensive midfielder, I think Obinna Wobodo has been next level. And I hope that we see him back at his best this season.
No doubt. Kevin, you mentioned, the big question for Cincinnati is, have they done enough in the off season? One of our big storylines on this show, and I know a big storyline with MLS commentators that we heard broadcasting the show all season, was these 1-goal wins, and that Cincinnati has made, it's a habit for them. It's their play style. They don't want to win by more than 1 goal. But they bring in a guy like Barlow. They bring in Ramirez, get some width. We got Ender Echenike coming in late last season. Do you see Cincinnati, like, maybe they haven't done enough to keep up with Miami, but do you think they've got a little bit more firepower this year to put in some goals and win by more than 1? Or you think that's going to be the storyline again this year?
So I think winning by 1, I think that can be a beautiful thing as well, because you develop such a shield nearly, and this kind of steel mentality that we know how to get over the line, and we're winning 1-0. We're not going to stress about it. And with Roman Celentano has been superb, a good defense like Cincinnati have. I don't see that being the biggest problem, especially when they've proven it now for a few years that they can win. What are we talking? What was it? How many 1-goal wins did they have last year? Do you know?
16, I think. 16.
Way too many.
That's a lot of wins by a single goal. So it becomes a habit. But I think I'm still interested to see, do we see more of an identity of the way Cincinnati play? And we talk about identity probably too much. And maybe there's old school people that be like, they're winning games. They finished a point off the Supporters' Shield, back off. And maybe that is the case. I just wonder, will we see more of an identity? And what I mean by that is, how can we see Evander pick up the ball in the best places in the field and feeding Kevin Denke a lot more? And that connection we just didn't see enough of. I think I think most Cincinnati fans would agree with that. That the Denke and Evander pairing, we want to see more connections between those two. And can they combine for more goals? Will we just see more natural chemistry between the two? Because I've no doubt both seem like great guys. They seem like really brilliant fellas. Evander was a guest of ours on our shows all year long, and he just seems like the most brilliant guy you could meet. And they both love playing for Cincinnati. So I just want to see a little bit more of that. Hopefully that's something they've been working on in the offseason.
I'll jump in. I got another one for you. We talked about the CONCACAF Champions Cup here right before you got on, and I want to get back to that in a second. But while we're sticking with MLS storylines, is there a dark horse team this year that you maybe have your eyes on that no one's really giving a chance, that you think really has a shot at doing some damage in the league this year?
I think so. There's a few that jump out. I think Houston, I like the work that they've done. I actually think Austin as well, out in Texas. Austin bringing in Facu Torres and Jaden Nelson's a real under the radar signing for me with them. And in Danny Pereira and Owen Wolf, they've got two phenomenal young players that are a year older now, heading into 2026. Owen Wolf will be a US star. I'm convinced of that. There'll be a lot of big teams coming for him after 2026. I just think he's that special. And Danny Pereira is too. They've bolstered the defense as well. And I think Austin should have. Sometimes it takes a season for a coach. Nico Esteva is now in his second year. It was the same with Noonan. I remember he was fifth in the East. And next year, Pat Noonan brought Cincinnati, wasn't it 2023, all the way to the Supporters' Shield. So sometimes that second year. So Austin, I think, could make a push. I actually think DC should be drastically improved. Obviously, they have to be. They were the wooden spoon winners last year, the worst team in the league. But Ty Baribo will score goals. They brought in a big money player from Romania that looks to be a real spark plug going forward. Sean Johnson's a proven goalkeeper in the league, and Sean Nealis is a real good anchor at the back. So they'll be a lot better. I do think the East actually is really intriguing because there's certain teams that may drop off. Philadelphia being one, Charlotte might be two. I expected Charlotte to bolster their squad a little bit more than Luca De La Torre is a good signing, but a little bit more than that. And the questions around the absence now of Malanda going forward are fair. I think he was such a good player for them. So there's other teams than Atlanta United with Tata Martino back. Can they make a run? They have to be better than last season. After a record spend in Major League Soccer, for them to miss out from the playoff positions in emphatic fashion, woefully, they've got to be better this year under Tata, and I have no doubt they will be. So I think we're going to see a bit of a topsy-turvy East compared to last year, and it's just about staying afloat. I also think Chicago, sorry, I know I'm listing off way too many teams here. Chicago will improve again under Greg Berhalter, as will Nashville under BJ Callahan. So watch out, Cincinnati. Other teams are getting better.
No, I think, we kind of tried to do a big kind of broad season preview last week. And I think that was my big takeaway is like, there's a lot of teams in the East that have what it takes to get in the playoffs. I think you can't really rest on your laurels in this one out East. I kind of want to go big picture here for a second, because I know you've been around. As someone who's been watching soccer in this country since I was like in high school, you've been around the block around here. You've been on other networks covering other leagues. But you've seen the overall evolution of just the sport in this country just over the last decade. How much has happened? I mean, how crazy has it been to kind of just see how quickly things have really changed in those trend lines with the sport here in the U.S.?
I'm glad you brought this up, because I think sometimes when you're so in the weeds, you get frustrated by the lack of rapid progression, the progression that you want to see in the here and now. And then when you remove yourself and you go through your camera roll, and maybe you go back to 2012 when I did my first MLS broadcast for the Chicago Fire. And I'll tell you, it was Montreal's inaugural game in the league. And Chicago were the road team at the Olympic Stadium in Montreal. And we did the local Chicago broadcast from the NASCAR studios in Charlotte to save a few dollars. And it was too expensive to go to Montreal. It was too difficult. They had a setup there. I just think the league has come on leaps and bounds since then, and you guys have had great broadcasters in Cincinnati, and now obviously with Apple, there's different broadcasters every week, but every broadcaster this year is on site at the stadium. That certainly wasn't the case when we had the local broadcasts. Half the broadcasters were doing it from a studio. So hopefully the TV coverage continues to evolve because television is so important in sports. But I just think the overall play on the field is so much better than it was in 2012 when I first got here. Even the caliber of player, I'm thinking of a guy. I live in Atlanta here. I live just outside of Atlanta, and to get a guy like Thiago Almada, a young star, to have him break through, and now to watch La Liga and see him shining for Atletico Madrid, and now he's a teammate of Obed Vargas. And it's not just Obed Vargas; it's Freeman who goes from Orlando to Villarreal, Alex Freeman, and he's a tremendous young talent. Jason Russell-Rowe breaking through at Crew 2, and now he's over in Toulouse in Ligue 1. So I think Major League Soccer has become a real hunting ground for a lot of teams to come source talent. Looking at the academies and the way the academies are today, I can see that trend continuing rapidly, and there's so many good young talents coming through. And I think even look at Cincinnati, there's players there. For me, Ender Echenike is a guy who could really take another step, and then watch out because you're going to have big teams looking at his talent level.
Well, hey, you covered, you were on that Atlanta broadcast for a while there. That is who awaits Cincinnati this weekend. Before we get you out of here, kind of your thoughts on that club and where they're at heading into 2026.
Who knows with this team right now? It's unbelievable. I'll actually be out there. I'm gonna. Brad Guzan is starting his own show tomorrow. So
okay.
First guest on the Brad Guzan show. So I'm going to find out a little bit more on the inside as to what's going on at Atlanta United, because this team was so poor last year after that record spend, like I said. And here's the issue. The city of Atlanta has 8 World Cup games this summer. If ever there was an optimal time to galvanize a city again around the team that, broke records when the team arrived on the scene in 2017, it's just a phenomenal showing at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. You're talking about midweek games getting 72,000 people, winning it in 18, Open Cup, Campeones Cup in 19, and then I felt like the Joseph Martinez ACL tear in 2020 and then COVID hitting was just a curse on the club, because Atlanta hasn't recovered since then. There's been some great battles over the years between Cincinnati and Atlanta. I feel like that's one of those under the radar games that are usually lively, usually fun. Atlanta had the bragging rights for the first few years, and then Cincinnati came roaring back. And I think we're in for a really intriguing game, because Tata Martino will change the fortunes of Atlanta United, but by how much? Like, can they realistically close the gap on Cincinnati? Will Cincinnati continue to push for the Supporters' Shield? I think these teams will play a really enjoyable game, and I'm glad this is one where I'll actually get to see at least the first half, because we're on a countdown at 6:30, and this game probably kicks off at 4:55 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll catch a little bit of it, but it should be a really entertaining game. Atlanta didn't make a lot of changes. I thought we might see wholesale changes after the worst year in club history, but they've continued to lean on the 3 DPs. Miranchuk hasn't produced yet. Almiron was poor last year, and Latte Lat fell woefully short of expectations. So they've got to prove their worth, and there's probably no tougher place to go in the league. It's right up there. It's my favorite place, by the way, to go in all of Major League Soccer is TQL Stadium.
Yeah. The question I had about that game is the matchup last year, at least initially, the first one ended with Nick Hagland with a couple broken ribs, right? And that it's a matchup, not, we're not spiteful or whatever, but you want to see a good matchup with Latte Lath back on the field in Cincinnati. We've heard conflicting reports, though. Is he a potential injury? What are you hearing about him? Is he going to be in that game, or is he still nursing an injury, waiting until maybe early March?
I think there's a few Atlanta guys that are touch and go. from what I'm hearing. I need to check it out tomorrow and suss it out and see if they're ready to go. But Tiare is now in Columbus. He's no longer with the club. Jamal Tiare, and he proved to be a decent player for the team last year. But Latte Lat has another gear in him. You know, I went back and I started doing a bit of research on the articles before he was even linked to Atlanta United, and there was one like that mentioned Arsenal, you know, and how he'd be great for them, and how he's a top class player, and it seemed like a real get for Atlanta United. And I don't know, it's not an easy move to go. You know, he's had a few clubs already, and to move then from England over to Atlanta, it was a tough move for him mid-season, I think. And so maybe a preseason will help him out, and we'll see the best of him this year, I hope. In Denke and Latte Lat, I think we can see another level to both of their games.
Agreed.
All right, Kevin, thanks so much for coming in. We can't wait to watch coverage Saturday. Obviously, those of us at home will be tuning in for Countdown, staying through, having you. I love on 360 where all of a sudden out of nowhere you're screaming, "We gotta go! We gotta go!" I can't wait. I can't wait to have that back in my life.
Yeah, I don't want to do that to you, lads. I'd rather say go Cubbies. I love the Cubs. My mom was she's from Chicago. She grew up just in Wrigley Field. My uncles were bat boys for the Cubs and stuff. So,
that's amazing.
Yeah, I grew up wearing Chicago Cubs gear, actually, just like you're wearing today.
Good deal. Well, thank you so much for coming in. We can't wait for the season to kick off, and we'll be sure to be listening to you all and watching you all season long. Thank you, man.
Nah, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kevin.
Guys, and we'll chat soon, okay? Take care.
All righty.
Thanks, Kevin.
Well, there you go. Possibly multiple injuries. That's good to know. All right, let's segue over to we got this match on Wednesday. We'll start there. The CONCACAF Champions Cup against O&M FC. Again, according to all the 20 minutes of research I did, the O&M just means O and M. Literally just the letters.
It's something in Spanish. It's for some university. Wait till tomorrow. We'll have Jeff Tebbett's preview, and it's in there what it means. So.
It is. Oh,
yes,
I did say it was associated with the university.
It's associated with the university. Yep.
Right.
So you'll see it tomorrow.
I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited for that. Let's jump into this this match though. Obviously, it's going to be a rotated squad. Is there? Do you kind of guys have like the ideas of who do you think will? I mean, we already talked about how there could be some. Allegedly, there might be visa issues, according to Laura Fowler. So Brian Ramirez probably. What we're thinking is not going to be a part of the squad traveling. I'm sure they are leaving tomorrow. From what we hear, he's not going to be a part of that because he's got to handle visa issues. The one thing that this club seems to always find in their way is legal paperwork to work in this country.
Yeah, I mean, Laurel reported that's why he didn't play in the game against Orlando City, the last preseason game, is because he went back home to take care of some visas. On her show today, she wasn't sure if he was still waiting for that. And like you said, even if he was back, I don't know that he would travel this late. So I would expect him not to play. Obviously, it sounds like Matt Miazga is not going to be involved. And then you rotate because this is your chance to give some young guys some minutes, especially since FCC is not playing in like the U.S. Open Cup, where that would be a great place to do it, right? This is the place to give a Steven Jimenez, a Stefan Scirola, a Dotto, give all those guys some run, and let's see what they can do. So I'd be hoping those guys get some good minutes in the game, and we'll see where it goes from there. And do you want to keep guys fresh for the game on Saturday against Atlanta? So that's what you got to take into account. So,
yeah, it's a quick turnaround with a lot of travel, right? From the Dominican back to Cincinnati for a 3 days rest to play an Atlanta side that, again, you don't know what to expect and who's going to be on the field, who's back from injury and who's not in the next couple of days. And so, I expect the same thing, Rupesh, a lot of rotation. It's funny to say rotation when they haven't had a game yet, but a lot of depth pieces starting and some of the starters coming out. I do think they come out late in the match. I think It's good to get some run out on those legs, see some partnerships develop in a real competition. Not the preseason's not real competition, but this is a competition now that means something. And so I think they get some guys out there late in the game, get an Evander, Kevin Denke partnership. Maybe you get Barlow up top with Jabari to start, or some of the other young guys out there in the midfield, Jimenez that you mentioned, and Dado Valenzuela potentially getting the start in this one. We had a comment here. I'm trying to find this earlier in the show from FC Bittlinger talking about watching some games at O&M's home field. Pitch looked a little sloppy. Ball movement was sloppy. And so I wouldn't expect anything different.
Sounds like a CONCACAF match right there.
It does sound exactly like a CONCACAF match. And we all know what a terrible pitch can do to a player. So we want to be careful in this match. But I do think it's going to be a sloppy game all around, no matter who's on the field.
Yeah, you kind of do wonder how much something like that does play into, like, if you're Pat, you're thinking the last thing I want is to walk into MLS match day 1 and I've already taken an injury because of a rough pitch, or of, they're going against these guys that, to them, this is probably one of the biggest clubs they've ever faced. So this is kind of they're laying it all out there, and you may have some rough tackles, some tough challenges going on. And you don't want to lose a guy before you as you're walking into the first game of the season to a silly injury in a match like this. So I think there has to be a little bit at play in that, of like, we're going to heavily rotate, partially because there's just guys that we just can't afford to take a knock in the match right before we start our season.
But do you feel bad sending some young guys out to be the sacrificial lamb? Is what it sometimes feels like. And Amir Daly last year, bodies. Right? Wasn't that in the CONCACAF Champions Cup?
Yeah, but that was at home. That wasn't away.
You're right, but it was against it was a CONCACAF game that got a little rough and ugly, and
can't blame that one on playing on a goat track.
No, that's true.
Was that TQ out?
That's true.
Let's get to our go beyond exercise player to watch for this match. Obviously, we don't know who's going to get rotated in and out. Obviously, there's going to be, as Rupesh said, this is the chance where maybe some of these younger guys will get their minutes. This is a good chance to get some starts from them. Brian, who's kind of that guy you want to watch for?
It was going to be Brian Ramirez, but it sounds like with some visa issues,
you can watch him stay in line at a local government office waiting to get some papers filed.
Right. I'll be watching him once the season starts, I guess. But no, I just think for me, it's the wing back play. We talked all season last year about that being the weakest spot on the field for FC Cincinnati. And so the hype around Ramirez, I'm really excited to see once he finally, paperwork comes through and he's out on the pitch with the guys. That left side specifically was particularly weak, sending balls in last year accurately. And so my eyes will be on him once the season gets going and he's out there. But for this first game, I'm going to shift it back to the other side and go Ender Echenike is a guy that I've got my eye on because of the way he created last year late in the season. He was a guy that has speed that can stretch a defense. And he's a guy that once he seemed to be released to get behind a defense, could break a defense down. But there were times when he was starting, he was a little hesitant. Maybe he's a young player. I don't know the system yet. Or maybe it was Noonan just saying, hey, don't go forward yet. But by the end, he was breaking lines, stretching defenses, and sending balls across and getting guys on the end of them. So I've got my eye on Ender Echenike in this first match.
Rupesh?
For me, for the whole season, it's going to be Pavel Buka. To me, he's the midfield glue. I remember there being games where Obi wasn't there and we had to play Brian Anunga, and he looked good when he was next to Pavel. I think Pavel's one of these guys that he raises the floor for whoever's next to him. Like you're confident in him, and he's going to help relieve any pressure the other guys on. So for me this season, I mean, we had an article today, a roundtable about whose people MVPs were for FCC, and I said it was Buka because I just think he's the guy who does so much, and it's kind of unsung, right? Like He doesn't get the counting stats, as they would call them, but he
Sure.
I feel a lot more confident when he's on the field.
Yeah.
Well, last year he started so strong, right? He was the guy that no one expected to play at the level he was playing. And even I think if I remember correctly, in the preseason, he was playing the number 10 role because Evander was still working in. And so to see some of the foot skill on him that you don't see as a defensive midfielder, and his vision for the field, I think just continued to improve. And then with some injuries around him, he looked like he dropped off a little late in the season, but partly because he had to drop deeper to receive balls to progress him forward. So I agree on one hand that he's the glue of that central midfield. But I think it's a lot depends on the partnerships he develops with the guys around him.
Yeah.
For me, it's for this week, and I think for a lot of weeks, and we'll see where he kind of finds his standing within the squad, but it's Geedy. I think especially a match like this, give me Geedy early and often. I think I want to see what he can do. I think there was moments last season where you just saw some real great talent from him. And obviously, yeah, we have some really solid dudes in the midfield. We just talked to Kevin Egan, who was all of praise and Obi. Rupesh, you got Pavel as your guy that needs to kind of be the glue and the MVP of the season. I want to see what that other option is, because we know how these seasons go. Someone's going to get a knock. Obi's definitely getting a yellow card suspension. You can go ahead and book that one. That always happens. We're going to need that other option, that other guy that's going to mix in there. And from the little we got to see of him last year, I was super excited about it. And I loved it. That is our Go Beyond player to watch. Go Beyond Exercise is a Cincinnati physical therapy and fitness business that helps people of all ages stay active and fit. They also work with local MLS and MLS Next athletes, and they're the official physical therapy provider of the Manu Ledesma Academy UPSL team. See how they can elevate your health and fitness at gobeyondexercise.com. All right, let's get to it. Match day 1, Atlanta United in the house. I already saw it in the comments here. There's a revenge factor that is playing out, but it's playing out with possibly 2 members that may not even see the field. We don't even know if either of those guys are going to. One guy sounds hurt in Latte Law.
Yeah,
sounds like he's not going to play. And then we don't know what the rotation's going to look like, if Hagelin's going to start that game. Maybe he starts, in the Dominican instead. So the 2 main factors of this whole retaliation, revenge, someone's out for blood thing. Also, like, Nick Hagelin's out for blood. That guy,
right?
Like the nicest, smiliest dude on the squad is out. No, that's not happening. If Miazga was around to come handle that for him, sure.
That'd be a different story, right? We had Hagelin on the show last year talking about that as he was coming back from his injury, and he's a class act, man. He didn't even say it wasn't a dirty play. We ran into each other, and it is what it is. And Hagelin handled it so well. Class act there. He's not out for blood this season, not at all.
No, we're raised with class in Westchester. That's how we're raised. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. I'm just gonna attach myself to his kindness and ability to handle himself. Rupesh, going into this match, is there kind of something you're outside of the fact that apparently we're not going to get the fight we want? What are you looking forward to in this one?
I want to see how this reunion show goes for them, right? Last year they brought back Miguel Almiron. This year they brought back Tata Martino. And like Kevin Egan said, let's see what Tata can do with this squad. He says it can't get worse. I'm not sure. They got a DP. They got one DP who is totally worthless in Marechek. Latte Law might be injured, and he didn't live up to the hype last year. Miggy might be washed. I don't know. I don't watch him enough to say he is. So let's see what Tata can do. I have a lot of faith in Tata figuring it out, but I mean, that's where I'm seeing, does this reunion show work? So that's what I'm looking for.
No, Miguel Almiron 2025 was definitely trending towards washed.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying there. I have a hard time, and again, it says nothing about this one match at the beginning of the season. I have a hard time believing that Tata Martinez is going to sit there and roll out a loser every week. I feel like that's just not within him. I feel like he's going to get the most out of this squad. Now, what that actually then elevates them to, I'm not sure yet. The other thing, and Kevin actually kind of alluded to it, Brad Guzan has a new podcast or a new show or something because he's retired. That's kind of one of the big changes. The guy that was there since day one with Atlanta United and Brad Guzan is not between the pipes anymore. That's going to be a big change for them going forward.
Yeah, I think it was probably time. They needed somebody new back there anyway, and so give a new guy, a younger guy, a chance to lead that defense. So, in this matchup, Atlanta's not playing in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. They don't have to travel this week, so I think that is a detriment potentially for Cincinnati coming off a week of travel in the Dominican. You can't leave your starters all behind and rest them. And not take them to the Dominican. So they've got some, travel legs. They're going to roll out on Saturday. Whether they play or not, they're going to be recovering from that. So that's the only detriment I see going in. I think with this core of who Cincinnati is and who they're bringing back this year, the partnerships that started to develop last year that seem to be maybe coming together in the preseason, again, with Kevin Denke getting on the end of some crosses, consistently scoring this preseason. I'm excited to see what they can do. And then, again, from what we heard from Kevin Egan just now, Atlanta dealing with a number of injuries potentially going into this match. I think this is all Cincinnati all day. But we'll see. Maybe it's a 1-0 match.
Brian, and this is something I felt last year. I mean, the teams that we should have honestly put a beating on at home. Like I'm thinking about that DC United game. We lost that, didn't we? I think we lost to DC United at home last year, which was embarrassing. But there's when you think this team's going to put it on somebody, that's when they don't. The club likes to play to the level of the competition. Unfortunately, it feels like at times. So I don't really trust anything until I see it that they're better than that.
Which is why my caveat is they're going to be traveling, and so if it's a tight game, I just blame it on that.
Just blame it on blame it on the jet lag from Eastern time zone to
Eastern time
probably
zone.
Also Eastern time zone. I will say I think one of the big things, this is going to be a home match to start the season. TQL as a fortress is something that kind of died last year, right? Like. That was kind of something that had been established, and last year, some of the poor performances and losses that we as home fans bore witness to, I think that's what I worry about the most, is if they start out on the same bad note and we start to see that again, I'd be a little leery. I'd be a little worried. So I think this is an important match just from a setting the tone, setting the trend in this season. And that's a trend that they need to get away from because last season TQL was anything but a fortress.
And look, we're coming off a year where and rightfully so, the fan base was frustrated. So a bad showing in the first home game, and those frustrations are just going to come back. I mean, that's Cincinnati sports fans for you. So that's a worry. Is if they start off poorly, you're going to feel the pressure. If you're one of the players, you're going to feel that pressure when you're at home. So they need to get off on the right foot just to alleviate some of that pressure before for the season.
And all of the worry and doubt and feelings of the off season, of an off season that didn't have as much going on as normal. Yeah. I mean, we know this fan base because we are this fan base.
Right.
And that's kind of the nature of the beast here in Cincinnati. We are a fan base that smells disaster coming and panics accordingly.
Right.
And even when it's just a faint whiff, it'll get going.
I think the flip side of that is, has Cincinnati done enough in the preseason to keep up and compete? The question Kevin posed to us. They haven't had a lot of movement this preseason. The flip side of that is giving them time to quietly focus on what they want to do and how they want to establish. They know their squad. They know their strengths. They know their weaknesses. There's no question marks of when so-and-so's contract is going to get signed, or are they going to get someone to fill the star player's role this year? Like, what's that going to look like? They've had time to quietly work behind the scenes with their roster that they know and they're comfortable with, and roll that out in this first match against Atlanta. My question to you guys as you think about this first match is, what are you most excited to see? Like, as far as pairings, we talked about players to watch, but are you looking for 4 or 5 goals out of Kevin Danke, Ender Echenike, and Evander? Or are you looking for a solid defense, a rebuilt defense, maybe a Matt Miazga back out there, holding Atlanta away from the net?
I mean, I'll look for that solid defense. I don't think I'll find it, at least not this week. It sounds like. As far as I think you did hit it like Danke. That's what I want to see. I want to see him hit the ground running. I want to see that second season boost that we see a lot of these guys get, where they kind of got their legs under them a bit, and I want to see him hit the ground running and bag one in front of the home crowd.
Yeah, and I want to see that connection between him and Evander, because I think everybody would say it. Last year, they both just made individual efforts to score goals. It wasn't like there was some kind of system or build up to it. So I'd like to see those two connecting. It was nice to see Kevin, or here, we didn't see it, but here Kevin gave an assist to Evander for his only goal of the preseason. Yep. So to see those two make a connection and see how they're working together is kind of what I'm looking forward to on Saturday.
I think the guy that unlocks that partnership, and I maybe said it at the live show, we have not talked about him yet tonight. His name's come up a couple times in the comments, is Jabari. I think he's a guy that will draw defenders. He's a smart player, and he's a strong player and deceptively fast player in the flashes that we saw him last year. And so I think that guy is one that I think opens up space for a partnership to develop that maybe we didn't have that other guy last season that could do that.
Well, and that's the thing. We never really fully had that guy last season. There was so many guys that we thought were going to be that person to link up top there with Danke, and it never worked out. Jabari got very little looks at that late on. Obviously, he was brought into the club kind of so late. We didn't get to see really much of it. Yeah. Hopefully, we'll see a lot. I know Clifford Adams here in the comments saying he's the predator. Jabari is deceptively fast and strong. I like both of those. I like both of those. Yes, yes, please. I'll take that. That's what I hope we see that from him. Absolutely.
And we see he was an unselfish player too last year, right? Like, ball comes across, it's to his head, he could turn it and put it on goal, and he drops it down to the feet of Evander, I believe it was, or Brenner. Maybe it was Brenner there in the match against, I think it was Columbus even, to get that assist there. There's an unselfish player that can open up space and unlock a defense, I think. And so here we go.
FC Biddlinger saying in the comments, I think this kind of what we all want, right? We all want to see, we need to see growth. We want to see growth. And what does growth look like from a squad that has been consistently making the playoffs, consistently over the past couple seasons, finishing in the top part of the table? Growth is that consistency, right? Growth is that trending of, we're fixing the things that broke. So last year we need to see growth from that back line that kind of had a rough 2025 and a back line. We went into the season, I remember thinking, hey, we got all this depth, we're going to be fine. And that didn't really play out that way.
You know what we need to see. I don't know if Coach said it. I heard somebody say it, and I don't know where I heard it. It might have been Coach at the live show. But we just need to see one step forward, right? Look, if we get past the first round in CCC, we're going to be seeing probably Tigres in the second round. Do I think we can beat them? Not necessarily. but I'd like to see us win one of the 2 games at least, because it seems like we've played 4 games against Mexican teams, and we've gotten beaten all 4 of them in CONCACAF Champions Cup. We haven't won any of them. I'd like to see us at least put in a good fight at home and win one. That'd be a step forward. I don't know that they can go forward past them, but that's fine as long as I'm seeing we're getting better against that level of competition. And, the same thing in the Leagues Cup now that they're doing. If they do the same thing, I don't even know the format's been decided yet. So
they'll figure it out. They'll come up with.
They'll tell us by whenever the games are coming. So, but I'd just like to see them going a little bit further in each competition, or a little bit better results, I guess.
I think growth for me is, if you remember 2 years ago with Lucho Acosta, was the guy that created everything offensively.
Mm-hmm.
And there were still guys on the field. I know they're professionals and they can adjust to formations, play styles, all that, and they should. But there were a lot of guys on the field that their outlet was always Lucho Acosta. Without him on the field, Evander doesn't play. Evander's a star. He's a stud, but he's not the same player Lucho Acosta was. Kevin Denke is not the same player that anybody else they've seen, right? And so they had these 2 really key pieces last year that struggled, at least from the eye test, to really develop a partnership. And I think some of that had to do with play style, with a guy like Lucho that always demanded the ball, and now Evander's he's waiting for the ball to come to him, right? And then wing backs that were so good in 2024 not performing well in 2025. And so there was a lot of steps backwards and readjustment to a different style of play for this team. So I think growth moving forward is, yes, we want to see wingbacks, but we want to see a consistent play style. Coach talked about it all last season. Predictable patterns of play. There just weren't any last year. Have they had time now to develop that with all their guys in preseason without any distractions? And I'm cautiously optimistic about that.
All right, let's quickly do some score predictions and then close her out here. Rupesh, start with you. What are you feeling? We'll just predict the Atlanta match. How about it?
Yeah. The match on Wednesday, who knows? The Atlanta match? Let's just go 1-0. We're used to it.
Okay. All right.
1-0 FCC.
Okay, Brian.
I'm going 3-1 FC Cincinnati.
Ooh, you stole mine. I'll go 2-1. I'll go 2-1.
Wow.
I'm gonna go 2-1. I'm gonna say we get that good 1-goal win as always. But we get to see some niceness from the offense. A couple of goals. All right. Final thoughts, Rupesh.
So for me, the final thought is we get a full season of the summer signings we made last year. Between Gidi, Echenike, and Jabari, they only played or made, I think, like 18 appearances at the end there last year. So get a full season of those guys and, add Brian Ramirez. I know a lot of people are saying we didn't do a lot this offseason. I think a lot of that work got done in the summer window last year, bringing in Jabari and Echenike and Gidi. So they didn't have as much to do this offseason. So let's see a full season of those guys and see what they do is what I'm looking forward to. And with Brian Ramirez, obviously.
Well, I hope if you're heading out to the match on Saturday, that it's everything you want to be. That you get to see your old friends. You're hanging out. Rupesh, where's Norden pre-matching this year?
Norden is pre-matches at Melotone, which is the old Taft Brewing. I think that's on. Is that 15th of Main, 15th of Vine? It's the old Taft Brewing. It's called Melotone Beer Project now.
Okay.
This is, I think, our second year there. So it's great food. Yeah, I mean, you
can be a little bit longer of a march for you guys instead of half a block. Are you guys?
That's fine. We need the exercise. We're a bunch of old guys. And we got Chris Marshall. He needs the exercise too. So do I.
Well,
so we'll take that. Yeah. But come on out. We'd love to see everybody out there for sure.
Yeah. Check it out. Enjoy all the festivities. It'll be cold. Yep. Bundle up. Wear layers. Yeah. Have fun. I cannot wait for the season to get kicked off. Jersey swap. You can check that out. That'll have the preview for the O&M FC match. You'll get to learn what that even means.
Yep.
As our man Jeff Tebbets breaks that down.
Brian, are we going to see you in Cincinnati at all this year?
Yeah, what's your plans?
Man, yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there at some point. As you know, I've been following Fort Wayne FC this year and broke off, and we've got a show going up here and developing a fan base. So I will be there in Cincinnati. I just don't know when, but I will absolutely continue to be part of the show behind the scenes and on screen when I can be, and in Cincinnati at a couple of those games, and be cheering from afar as always.
Cool. See you in August. All right. All right, guys. That wraps it up for us. Again, Jersey swap this week. We got 2 matches to look forward to. We will talk at you again on Monday here as we will break things down and look forward to match week 2. Good night.